Hello everyone, this is Aaron Johnson with the Johnson iRacing team, bringing you the weekly Johnson iRacing team performance update for the end of week number 4 in season number 4 of the 2020 iRacing season. This week, the street stocks were at Southern National Motorsports Park in North Carolina, and the Legends cars were at South Boston Speedway in South Boston, Virginia. South Boston's probably most famous for having been the home track for Ward and Jeff Burton, the Burton brothers, who had quite a lot of success in NASCAR. Let's take a look at how we've done this week. We can go first and we'll take a look for Jake Johnson. Jake didn't race quite as much as he'd like to this week. We've had a couple things going on. We've been remodeling in the house, so he hasn't been able to get into his room as much as he would like. And he's got school. But overall, Jake did okay. He had 5 starts this week, 1 win, 1 top 5, of course, no poles. But overall, I think Jake's doing pretty well. His overall winning percentage is still about 14.5%, still finishes in the top 5 about a third of the time. If we look at where he is in our respective series, he's running in the Fanatec Street Stock Series. And at this point in time, Jake sits 1,163rd out of about 9,000 drivers in the Street Stock Series. Puts him inside the top, 15% or so with respect to the Street Stock Series. And that's not too bad given that he's only had 8 starts in the entire 4 weeks, and he's managed to eke out 1 top 5. So Street Stock hasn't really been Jake's strong suit. Instead, it's the Legends cars where Jake really seems to be thriving. He's in Division 4 based on the division set up in Legends cars. Legends breaks you up in divisions based on your point or iRating points at the time the season started, so Jake was fairly highly rated. He missed the first week, so he didn't really start racing in the iRacing Legends Cup Series until week 2. But as of right now, he's 25th. He's in the top 25 in his division. That's out of about 650 drivers. He's got 16 starts, 5 wins, 7 top 5s, 3 poles. Average finish is 7th, so he's doing pretty well there. And if we were to project his points out, he's got 252, so he's averaging about 84 points a start. If he'd started the first week and done as well as he averages, he'd be at about 336, which would put him probably up here in the top 5 or so with respect to the points in the Advanced Legends Cup. So Jake's doing really well in the Legends Cup. If we look at his overall standings here, he's 177th out of 7,269 drivers. That puts him just inside the top 2.5% of all drivers that have run at least one points-paying race in the iRacing Advanced Legends Cup. So Jake's doing really well. All he needs is more windshield time. And I think, I've said this before, but I'll say it again, he's got very, very quick hands. He's got good eyes. In the long run, he's going to be better than either Joe or me, simply because he's just got faster reflexes and a little better skill set. Let's take a look and see how my brother Joe's doing. This week, he started 7 races, didn't have any wins, but he did finish in the top 5 4 times. Didn't have any pole positions either, but his overall winning percentage has jumped up now. He's at about 5.71. Didn't jump up from last week, but overall it's slowly rising. Top 5 percentage is 34.3%. That's a really good top 5 percentage, and that's kind of the benchmarks that you want to go by in iRacing. Joe's not running too much in the Street Stock Series. He only started once last week. He's got 16 starts, no wins, 1 top 5, 3 poles. That puts him about 1301 out of 9,035. So, again, inside the top 15%, but it's hard to say, much more than that, or exactly how he's doing in the street stocks. But this really isn't the division that Joe's focusing on. Joe's really focused on the Legends Cup as well. And in the Advanced Legends Cup, Joe's doing really well. He's in Division 5 right now. He's in the top 3 in his division. He's got 19 starts, 2 wins. The big thing here, 11 top 5. So he's finishing in the top 5 in the Legends Cup Series. On average, just a little less than 2/3 of the time. So he's doing really well there. He's got a couple of poles as well. The big thing here is his average finish is up to 5th place. And that makes for a pretty good season. Joe scored 327 points, so he's averaging a little over 80 points a week, which is a pretty good average. If we look at where he is overall, he's 83rd out of 7,269 drivers. That puts him just inside the top 1.5% of all drivers that have attempted at least one points-paying race in the Advanced Legends Cup. So Joe is doing exceptionally well here. Both members of the Johnson iRacing team we've talked about so far inside the top 200. That's the goal we've kind of set for ourselves. So we'll take a look at how the third member, that would be me, Aaron Johnson, we'll see how I'm doing overall. It's kind of a rough week for me. I jumped up into the top split in almost every race, and it shows. This week I started 11 races. I had no wins, did finish in the top 5 4 times, and took no poles. My overall winning percentage still about 12.5%. My top 5 percentage is almost 36%. And again, I can't say this enough, but top 5s really are the benchmark. That's really a measure of how well you're doing. If you can consistently finish in the top 5, you get your top 5 finishes to 50% or so, you're going to do really, really well. I'm running pretty seriously in the street stocks. I've been taking the street stocks fairly seriously, and it shows. I'm 39th overall in the street stocks right now out of 9,035 drivers that have attempted a race. That puts me inside the top 0.5% of all people attempting to race in the street stocks. I've got 16 starts. I've only got 1 win, and I've only got 5 top 5s and 1 pole. But I've been able to move up here, and I'm averaging now about 80 points a start. So if I can continue to do that, I think I'll be able to move up inside the top 25. And that's kind of my goal for the year, is to hope that I can make it into the top 25 somehow in the Street Stock Series. I'm also racing hard in the Legends Cup. In the Legends Cup, I'm in Division 9. And right now I lead my division. I've extended my lead to 116 points or so. Now keep in mind that we're only 4 weeks in. There are 12 weeks. iRacing takes your best 9 performances. So Cooper Robinson, Jody Kelting, Anthony Scarillo, even though it looks like they're a significant distance behind, as we drop those bad weeks, the point distance is going to get narrower. They're going to catch up to me just because they're going to get to take their best weeks, and that's going to tighten the race up a little bit. So far, I'm pretty happy with that. I've got 27 starts, 12 wins, 19 top 5, so I'm just a little bit more than 2/3 of the time finishing in the top 5, 11 poles, and my average start and finish about 4th. So that average finish being about 4th place has been really, really good for me. If we look at the overall standings, I'm running 68th out of 7,269, which puts me just inside the top 1% of all drivers that have attempted a race in the Advanced Legends Cup. So I think between the 3 of us, we're doing really well. Both Joe and I are inside the top 100. Jake is inside the top 200. And one of our first goals was to get all 3 of our team members inside the top 200. Now that we're there, I think the next goal is going to be to see if we can get everyone inside the top 150. And then once we get everybody in the top 150, we're going to work to see if we can get everyone in the top 100. I think the last thing I want to show you is how our iRatings have progressed. iRating sort of is a measure of your skill relative to other drivers. You gain iRating points. If you beat someone, you take points from them. If they beat you, they take points from you. So your iRating goes up if you take more points than you lose in any given race. Jake's iRating's at 1377. He's dropped just a little bit this week because it was kind of a difficult week, especially in the Street Stock Series here. You can see he had a lot of rough finishes in the Street Stocks, but he did really well in the Legends cars. So Jake's iRating is 1377. 1350 is where you start, so he's up just a little bit. Joe really jumped his iRating up this week. His iRating climbed up to 1,769. He had a really good week with 3 consecutive top 3s at South Boston, sandwiched between a 7th place at South Boston and a 16th at Southern National. So Joe had a really good week. His iRating is up to 1769. And my iRating is up to 1936 from 1906. So my iRating is going up, not quite as quickly here. You can see the slope of my iRating line's a little flatter. But you know, I think that's okay. I think that between the 3 of us, we're going the right direction. We've got our iRating moving up like we want it to be, and we're being pretty successful. If you happen to be watching these videos on YouTube and you're interested in the Johnson iRacing team and learning more about us, I'll tell you a little bit right now. We come from a racing family that raced stock cars in the real world for about 40 years. And back in the 90s, both my brother Joe and I worked on some stock cars. We weren't drivers as much as we were mechanics. We decided to start an iRacing team because, if you crash an iRacing car, you press a button and you get a new one. It's also a little safer, it's a little less expensive, and it gives us a chance to stay competitive. Now, we are an iRacing team. And that means that we share setup ideas, we share tricks, we share driving lines. When we come up with something new that makes the car a little better, we share it with all the team members. And that's one of the reasons that we're able to be really competitive at most tracks. And if we're not competitive, we figure out how to get better really pretty quickly. Having said all that, if you're watching these videos and you think, hey, I think I might want to be part of a team, we certainly invite you to send me a direct message. My name is Aaron Johnson. My handle on iRacing is Aaron Johnson 14. Look me up on iRacing. Send me a direct message and tell me that you're interested in joining the Johnson iRacing team. We do have some requirements, right? We ask that our members try not to use too much foul language. We know that sometimes you're gonna drop a bomb here and there, but we want you to be polite and personable. We want people to take responsibility when they cause an incident on the racetrack. You know, you're racing, you're going to be going hard, you're going to mess up. Just own it and go on. And we ask that if you're going to be part of this team, that we share ideas, technologies, setups. We share all that in and amongst the team because we want the team to be better. So if you think this is the kind of place for you, get on the iRacing website, go to the search bar, look up Aaron Johnson 14, send me a direct message, and I'd be happy to talk to you about joining the Johnson iRacing team. For the Johnson iRacing team and the Johnson iRacing network, this is Aaron Johnson saying, go fast, turn left, have fun.